So 2 weeks ago, I did a video on how to choose a mentor that did incredibly well. I got a lot of comments from it. And many of you came back and said, Pat, it's great to know how to choose a mentor and find a trifecta, but how do I find a mentor and keep the mentor in my life? And that's what we're doing today. So I decided to bring a couple of my friends, Jorge Pelayo, as well as Jose Gaytan, who I've had the privilege of mentoring nearly a decade, both of them. And now they mentors others as well across the country. They've done incredible jobs for themselves. Both of them are trifecta type of leaders that they don't just tell you what to do. They're experiencing it themselves. So we came early this morning. It was kind of a cool experience this morning. I brought my boy Edwin Lopez from Artistic Auto Detailing, who I believe is the most incredible auto detailer in the country. The only guy that services 5 Bugattis. And I think it's 7 Bugattis now, Edwin, you're servicing. He does 2 Paganis. There's only 4 in America. He services 2 of them. You talk about Ferraris, Lambos, the way they do it, how articulate they are, how specific they are. I've just never met anybody that's so good at what he does. And at the end, I'll have him say a couple words about his company and what they're doing. Good friend of mine. So let's get right into it. We have the nice cars behind us. I mean, it's kind of cool when you got a 650 horsepower Z06 2016, when you got a brand spanking new Tesla here who, when you turn it on, you don't hear anything from it. And you got a Ferrari 458, and I don't know if we're in the mood. Maybe later on we'll race. What do you think about that?
We'll see.
Are you okay if we race a little bit later on? We'll see if the cops in LA will let us do it. Because we also have a lot of police officers that watch these videos. Today, all of you took the day off for that 30 minutes that we go off the race, if we do so. So George, you went from, I met you at 18. You went from an 18-year-old to now a self-made guy. You run your multi-million-dollar business. You do well for yourself, but you were 18 when you first decided to become an entrepreneur. How did you go? What could you say to everybody out there on how you went from finding a mentor and keeping a mentor?
I think that in order to find a mentor and keep a mentor, you first need to be ready for one. You know, whatever you're doing, wherever you're at right now, some people feel, well, I'm not at the job that I want to be at, so I'm just not going to give it my best effort. And I think that that's not a way of going through life. Whatever you're doing, maybe it's not where you want to end up, but if you give everything that you have to whatever you're doing, you do it the best that you can, that becomes a habit. And so when you do end up finding a mentor, that's a habit already instilled in you. But point number 1 to finding a mentor for me was to find somebody that had the life that I wanted. You know, so getting a chance to get involved in the industry and meet yourself and see the lifestyle and see the income and see the leadership. If you find somebody that's already exemplifying the qualities as a person of a person that you want to be, or already has a lifestyle that you want to have, or is making the income you want to make, and it's a model, like ours, where you're able to get mentorship from that person. That's my point number 1 is look for somebody that has the life that you want.
That's a very good point. Jose, what would you say?
Mentorship's everything. When you think about doing something good or great, as the book says, from good to great. If you want to do something great, you got to go out there and find a mentor. I was looking up Richard Branson, who he's got, and he says the future of any successful person that wants to become great is to find a mentor. It's standing on the shoulders of giants. I think if you really want to do something big in your life, you really want to go out there and find a mentor, like George just said, that's already been established. That's if you want to do something great in your life. Most people don't. They just want to do something good in their life. If you want to do something great, you got to go out there and stand on the shoulder of giants that have been there. And I think to attract a mentor or find a mentor, you got to be attractive. And in many ways, you got to be attractive. Sometimes you want to go out there and seek them because they're already established, but they're looking at you more than you're looking at them. So if you're attractive in a way where you have desire, you want to do something big in your life, it's not just a regular lifestyle you want to go out there and pursue. You got to become attractive and find yourself that mentor.
Now, let me ask you a question. So either one of you guys can take this one. Sometimes I can think for my own mentors, the relationship with the mentors, that some people have a hard time with a mentor as you're going through it. What are some difficulties about having a strong mentor that you could share with everybody?
I think first of all is ego. If you think about the lineage, Plato mentored Aristotle mentored Alexander the Great, Zuckerberg was mentors with Steve Jobs, the list goes on. And I think all those guys had egos at one point. So the biggest problem I tend to find is that you can't set aside your ego. You got to be coachable and teachable to someone who's already been there and done that.
You mean you got to set aside your ego?
You got to set aside your ego.
Right.
That's the biggest challenge that I find for someone to receive it, is to set aside their ego.
What would you say, George?
I think most of us never are around people that have high expectations. And for the majority of the people around us in our lives don't have high expectations. So when you finally find a mentor, you got to know that that person has extremely high expectations. And so oftentimes there's a level of frustration in working with them because they expect so much more than you, and nobody likes to be accountable for their actions. So maybe you shy away and you don't want to be held accountable because accountability points out your flaws. So when you get challenged, you take it personal and you feel they're challenging you personally instead of maybe challenging what you're doing. And so to be able to separate the challenge that they're challenging you in business or they're challenging your performance versus challenging you as a human, I think ego plays a big part into that.
So let me ask you, that's a good point. So I get asked, people will say, hey, Pat, can you help me with a couple $1,000s for me to start my business? Can you do this? Can you do that? They constantly feel like, hey, I'm in a very bad predicament. You don't understand my financial situation. You don't understand what I'm going through. You don't understand how difficult it is for me. It's so hard. I want to quit. Why don't you tell a real story of a point where maybe you yourself were absolutely done and you said, I'm not doing this no more. I'm just sick of being an entrepreneur. I'm going to go and take a different life. Was there ever a time where you had a breaking point where you wanted to give up?
Sure. When I got started in business, I think my first 6 months we made like $8,000. My next 12 months we made like $16,000, and then finally like the third year making $32,000, which is less than I was making at my job. So sometimes you take a step back to take a step forward, and I was just really frustrated. My mom got cancer, and she was in the hospital. She was getting breast cancer surgery, and my business wasn't working out. My bills were late. All my bank accounts were very low or negative. My credit cards were not being paid. I was just
How old were you at this point?
I was 21 years old. And I'm in the hospital and I'm just breaking down saying my business isn't working. My family life is falling apart. God, what's going on? Just at a very low state. And that's where mentor also really comes in. I remember giving you a call and having a conversation, and you just need somebody that believes in you and knows your gifts and gives you hope and encouragement. But that was at a really lonely place. And without a mentor at that point, I think I would have went the other route. I probably would have went back to a job and just gone back to what was comfortable. But that mentor is the one that sees your future you and challenges you to become that person while sympathizing with your situation.
So how do you, at that point, because I've mentored thousands of people and many don't want to take that mentorship and the challenge. What do you do to be willing to take it, right? Because you got to be willing to take the coaching and the challenge. What is the mindset in being willing to take somebody pushing you and challenging you?
I think what George just mentioned is something I can totally relate to. Starting in the business and having breakthroughs. And sometimes you want to judge where you're at right now. No one really cares about where you're going. And the character, the entrepreneur is really built through that tough time. But how do you take it? You got to really decide, do you want to be where you're at? You got to have a real honest conversation where you're at. If the answer is no, then what are you going to do about it? So you got to be very real with yourself, raw and real, and no more BS, and realize that find someone that's done it. They have the life that you want. Go out there and mimic it by being coachable and teachable. So you got to be, in my opinion, very real with yourself.
Did you have a breaking point yourself where you absolutely didn't believe or you wanted to give up? What was your breaking? Like, is there I remember one myself with you, with the whole car outside, and when you and I are talking 12, 1 o'clock. But what comes to mind when you think about it?
When we talk about you got to have faith when it really counts. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when you're having a breakdown, you don't practice your faith. You got to have faith through adversity. So I have countless stories where I didn't have any gas money. We had to go out there and sell a bunch of things online just to go out there and make ends meet. Sometimes when you don't think you need to be doing these things, you have to be doing these things. And sometimes you don't think you need to feed your business or pay your business. Mm-hmm. Your business keeps you in business. So it's not about anything else. You're behind on rent, car payments, all that stuff. So we had those moments where it was dark. We didn't know we can get through, but that's when our faith really came through, and that's where a mentor was there to guide you along the way. Did
you struggle with, either one of you guys can take this one, did you struggle with, say for instance, a father, a mother, a brother, a sister, a friend, somebody saying, George, what are you doing? Why are you putting yourself through this? So
Absolutely.
A lot of, because it's coming from a person you love, it's coming from a family, somebody you've known all your life. How do you manage that yourself when it comes down to a close family you've known all your life saying, George, I think you need to just go out there and get a job. You're really struggling. You're having a hard time with finding. What would you say about that?
I wanna comment on the question you asked a second ago about how do you handle the adversity. I think that if you overcome one of those breakdowns, when you're having a breakdown, if you overcome it, you find out and you get to know that there's a stronger you inside of you. And I think that you have to finally overcome one of those challenges to know, like, I can do this. I am better. There's a saying that in your breakdown, you have a breakthrough. And it's kind of like the onion, peeling away the layers of the onion. You have all these excuses you make, and most of the time, maybe you're in a tough financial situation because of what you're not doing, and that forces you, that pain forces you to change, to finally perform, and then you get the results. And so that's what happened for me. And once you overcome it one time, then the next time that challenge comes, you can do this. Going back to that question, when I got started in the business, and my dad will probably watch this here, we just bought this car the other day, and it's his dream car, and so drove it up to the house. He came out, loved it. But
Did he drive it?
He drove it.
How was it? Was he really pushing it?
Yeah, he loved it. 0 to 60 like this, and it's his dream car. It was my dream car. And so when I got started in the business, though, he would always say, what are you doing? Where's your income? Why aren't you making money?
Right.
Why isn't this working? Why are you getting home at 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock at night? What are you doing? Right? What are you doing at your office? What are you doing? Why are you not, And oftentimes they care about you, so they're trying to give you good advice. But when you take somebody's advice, when you buy somebody's advice, you buy their lifestyle, And at that time, I saw where my family was at financially, and I saw where you were at and other people that were successful, and there was a process that they had to go through. So I had faith in the process that there would be a payoff at the end, instead of listening to those people that were questioning me at that moment.
Now, what have you been able to do for your family over the years? Why don't you talk about some of the victories as an entrepreneur you've been able to provide for your mom, dad, family that you have?
Sure. With the whole real estate thing, we ended up losing our home, and so at that time we were able to come in and buy a property. My parents always wanted to breed German Shepherds and get a ranch, so we bought a 3.5 acre property and built a kennel on it. And now that business, through their breeding, produces them a 6-figure income every year in retirement. And
breeding produces them a 6-figure income in retirement.
Absolutely.
Because of property.
Yeah.
How amazing is that?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And so mom doesn't work. They work at the ranch, and and that's what they do together now. They have their business, and it's changed their life. It's no more her having to listen to a boss. It's no more her having to go work every day and get disrespected. I didn't want my family to go through that, and so we bought them a ranch. We travel all over the world together, and it's changed our life. So now they're grateful that we didn't listen to that advice when it was being given.
And, Gladys, if you're watching this, we were just saying earlier how amazing of a mother you are. And George always says you're an angel. But I remember also going with your father, too. We went to the Derby one time, right? Went to the Derby with your pops. So, George, if you're watching this, you got to be one of the coolest cats to travel with. He is absolutely entertaining and fun to be around. But what could you say? What's happened with you and your family? What's happened with you and some of the dreams? Because when I first met you, were single. You were driving a Sebring, right? And you were a bill collector, I believe, is what you were doing. Yeah. What's been the evolution with you since sticking around, not giving up, finding a mentor? What's happened with you throughout the process?
And going back to the question about what you have to go through, there's an old quote that says, "Being an entrepreneur is doing something for a short period of time that most people aren't willing to do, to live a lifestyle that most people only dream of." And eventually, you're going to have that lifestyle. So we had to have those breakthroughs that we discussed, and having no background in this industry, having no background and being an entrepreneur over the last 6 years of doing this, or 6 to 10 years, the evolution of my wife and I coming together, and my wife in the business. We have a beautiful son. We have another son on the way. And to be able to give our son experiences, to go to Aspen, to go to Monaco next year, to go to Dubai, to go to Italy, places all over the world, be able to take my mom to Italy and to see the expression on your mother's face for all the hard work, because all we owe to our family at this point is to give them good memories and experiences. So to be able to give that back to my mom, my mother-in-law, and we have countless places around the world that we're going to go to, it's all because he sold out to becoming an entrepreneur.
Now, did you visualize this life? Like, did this happen by accident? Was there a formula that worked for you? Did you do something? Did you write it on a piece of paper? Did you have a vision board? Or was it pure luck? How did this life all of a sudden present itself to you?
Sure. I remember when I got started in the business, my mentor said, do a vision board. And so I did a vision board, and on that vision board was the kind of life that I wanted. Places we wanted to travel, homes we wanted to buy, the ranch, the kennel, the Corvette. And what's interesting is everywhere on that vision board, everything that's on that vision board, we've accomplished.
Everything on the vision board you've accomplished.
Yeah, from buying a ranch, from getting the kennel, from buying the vet, from traveling the world, all the places we wanted to go there. We visited all of them so far. So it's been an amazing experience. You need to kind of get a picture of the life you want, and affirmations really help with that. You know, having a mindset that you repeat every day to yourself that's victorious, it's powerful, that's maybe where you're going to go. I think that's really important. Vision board's really important. Mentorship's really important.
Do you have your vision board with you?
I do.
Was it in the car?
Yeah.
Why don't you grab the vision board?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So while he's doing, I want you and I to talk. How about yourself? Did this kind of happen by pure accident, or was it something that you did that also helped you have the life that you have now?
At first, you hear it and you see it and you think, yeah, right. But you know, I realized that there are no secrets. They're just all in books. And the biggest thing is people don't read the books.
There are no secrets. They're all in books.
They're all in books. That's the biggest challenge of most people. They don't read any books. So after reading and then evolving myself, I remember last year we've had many vision boards, my wife and I. It was whether it was Italy, going to Rome, going to see Pisa, or going to Dubai. In 2014, we had a vision board, 2014, of the tallest hotel in the world in Dubai. We ended up going this year. My earlier vision board, went last year. And my earlier vision board in 2015 had a Tesla that I wanted. I wanted to have a Tesla, and along with a bunch of other things, and we've been able to accomplish all those things. But there's no secret. Read the books, find a mentor, and just stick with it. You got to stick with it.
Maybe we can talk about the books after George shows us his vision board.
Sure. So this was the ranch up here, and now we have a 3.5 acre property. This was, just kind of jump down here. This was the car, which is so funny. So you can see the picture of the car here, right? I want to say that was maybe 2006. There's another one right here on this one of the same car, 2006, 12/23, 2006.
You kept all this stuff from 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Can I see this?
Yep.
From 10 years ago. The making of a champion. Paul, can you see it, or you want me to tell me if you want to zoom or not move, or
hold it back like that.
pull it back a little bit?
Yep, you're good right there.
So you got making of a champion. Oh, we've been here before.
We rode it's funny, one day we went on this trip, and I'm kayaking, and I look up at the rock formation, and I remember that was the place I put on my vision board.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, we kayaked right through there.
Unbelievable. We've been on a private jet before, right?
Yep.
We went to Pebble Beach.
Yeah,
Those are
been
3
to
cars.
Aspen before, Puerto Rico.
3 sports cars right there.
3 sports cars right here, 3 sports cars right here. So these are things that are important, you know, get an idea of the life you want and dream big. You know, when I put this on here, I was 19 years old. You know, I couldn't afford a $100,000 car. And through sticking through your dreams and your goals.
Show the date. Focus on the date. Can you zoom in on the date? That's the key. We're talking 10 years ago, 11 years ago. No, 9 years ago is what we're talking about.
And
2 days before Christmas.
So you had asked me a question. You said, did you ever think it was going to come true from
Right.
when you started? I think most of us, we hope to win, but we expect to fail because of past failures that we have. So maybe the confidence isn't there. And eventually you have to establish that. One day you got to stop running. You know, I didn't do it in sports. I didn't do it in school. And then when the business got hard, I was going to repeat the same mistake of quitting, and quitting becomes a habit. But I kept running away instead of finally becoming a better person and sticking with the problem. And Einstein said, it's not that I'm smarter than you. It's just that I stay with problems longer than you. And I decided that this was going to be the last place I went that I ran away from, and to stick it out. And so I didn't think it was going to happen. And the other thing, too, the second part to that.
Stay on that. Run away. Hold that thought on the second part. So running away meaning what? You get to a point, and in order not to face a failure, or in order to kind of use that as an alibi to run away, is that what you mean by running away?
Yeah, absolutely. It was so many times, every single day. I think when we started the business, every day, 2-3 times a day, I would just think about quitting and going back to a job. You know, and then I would have to process my own thoughts. And I think that's the important part. You process your own thoughts, where it was like, am I doing that because that's my calling? Am I doing that because that's my purpose? Or am I doing that because that's easier? Right? And I knew in my mind, it wasn't because I was meant to be a server at Red Lobster the rest of my life. It was just easier. And so was I going to buy my own excuse?
That's right. Good point.
And the second part of that is, I thought this was going to happen within a year. You know, I thought by 2007 I'd be a millionaire and have a Corvette, and it took so much longer at the same time than I thought it was going to be. So sometimes, you know, you'll set a goal, and if you're just want to stay on course, maybe it will take you twice the amount of time, but at least you'll accomplish it if you don't give up. We overestimate what we can do in a short amount of time, and we underestimate what we can do over 5 or 10 years.
Very good point. Very, very good point. So both of you guys, let me ask you, how big of a role has books played in your life? How big of a role has reading books played in your life? Maybe think about a book that really impacted your life. What would you say about reading, and which book has impacted you the most?
Geez, there's several. I can't even think.
You started off with Good to Great, is what you talk about with Jim Collins.
I mean, the separator is the books, guys. The books that you read, the meetings you attend, the people you associate with is a separator if you want to become somebody great. Again, most people live a very good life and they think it's good, but compared to what? Good is the enemy of great, and to become great, you got to go read about greatness and go get inspired by them, go figure them out. But when I think about books, geez, there's so many. I would say Outwitting the Devil is a book. I forgot who wrote that book, Outwitting the Devil, but it really...
Sharon Lecter. I think it's Sharon Lecter and Napoleon Hill, right?
Yeah. Napoleon Hill and Sharon Lecter. So that Outwitting the Devil really allows you to take a look at the man or woman in the mirror. And that's typically the most disturbing thing you can possibly do, because you avoid it, the person you currently are, for the fear of the person that you could possibly become, and that typically holds you back. But there's countless books, and I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for reading, period.
How about yourself?
One of my favorite books, because I struggle with the limiting belief in insecurities, was Beyond Positive Thinking by Dr. Robert Anthony. And in the book, he talks about that most people, there is have, do, be versus be, do, have. And it says, when I have, the great lifestyle, when I have the money, when I have the houses, when I have the car, when I have the business, then I'll do what successful people do. Then I'll be successful. And the challenge with that is that you're always waiting for something to happen before you make a decision, versus be, do, have. I'm going to go be that leader now. I'm going to go be a CEO. I'm going to go act like I'm $1 million earner. I'm going to go take action like that. And once you're that, then you'll do those things that produce the results. So instead of waiting to have it, go be it, and that will catch up with you.
Let me ask you, sometimes we only see the final product, right? We see the final product and, look good, nice lifestyle, nice cars, nice place, nice parties, nice places you travel to, places you go to where you stay at Dubai at a place that it's a $20,000 trip, but you go there, it's just Dubai. And so somebody else sees it and they say, man, I'm so far from believing that I can have that life. Is there a story, either one of you guys can take the lead on this, that you want to share, that somebody can hear this and say, man, that resonates with me? Is there something you can think about that could resonate with somebody? I'm not just talking about a breaking point. I'm talking about either a point where you had your own major breakthrough, where you went from a level where you're making decent money. Let's just say you're even starting to make money. You're doing okay now. But how did you go from that level to all of a sudden having a breakthrough? Do you have a story of a breakthrough that was a very painful, difficult point of your life that you had to go through? Is there a story like that you can think about?
There are several, and I think about...
Give me one. I want to hear a specific story.
I'm thinking about... I remember doing something new, coming from collections background.
Sure.
No degree, wasn't sure where I wanted to go, but I know I wanted to do something big in my life. And I remember being in my car after not passing an exam I had to pass. 6 months later, twice in my car, I'm in tears. I'm thinking, what am I going to do if I don't pass this? If I don't have a breakthrough? This is an entirely different industry, but I knew I wanted to do something in this. For me, it was in a car with tears, thinking, am I going to go back to that regular life? And the breakthrough was when I didn't quit. So it very easily could have gone back because it was easy, but I didn't quit at that moment. And that was one that I remember had a breakthrough and led to everything else.
How about yourself?
I think mine was when we decided to start our own company, and just was at a place where went without income for months and still had to pay bills. And my bank account December 2006, December 2009, my bank account's negative $600.
This is what month? December 2009.
This is 3 months after starting the company. December 2009, my bank account's negative $600. I haven't paid any of the credit cards because I just have no more money. And I get a call from my mom, and she says, hey, there's some guy outside the house, and what's going on? And he keeps coming back and knocking. I said, well, open the door and see what he wants. And he's like, you just got served, So in the middle of starting a company, getting a lawsuit, getting sued by that company, trying to just put us out of business. And I'd be running appointments, on faith, and just struggling financially, running appointments, hoping that things just happen. And then at the end of the night, it'd be 10, 11 o'clock at night, and we'd finish, have to go to the lawyer's office, and then in front of everybody, put on this face that things are good and we're going to go do something great. Because, you don't share those painful moments. Those are the moments that you're by yourself. That. They're lonely, you break down, maybe you journal. I think journaling really helps you process your own thoughts. But it was a breaking moment. And then 2 months after that, not even having the money, and saying, you know what, I'm going to go open my own office. In the middle of this, struggling financially, whatever, got a couple $1,000s together, went and opened my first office with $2,000.
And you're not talking about an office like an executive suite. You signed a 3-year lease.
3-year lease.
You know, $100,000, $150,000 lease you signed. Okay.
Yep. And to start an office with $2,000, you know, buying furniture from garage sales, building our podium. We built them. We built our podiums, and one of our associates, Cindy Kobos, her dad built the podiums for the office with no money, you know. And then 6 months later, going and starting another office with no money, and then all of a sudden that month, $30,000 deposits, and now that's a normal thing. But the question is, what would you do when you're negative? What would you do when you're getting sued? What would you do when you're not making money? Would you take on more responsibility? Would you push more? Would you challenge yourself more? Most of us, we retreat. And we go back to us, and that's where we stay who we are. And I think that's your breaking point. That's where you get your breakthrough. So you have to fight that battle, and that's where you build that pride and that confidence that you can do anything else.
Very, very good point. I mean, we can talk to these guys, and there'd be nuggets all the time. Maybe we'll have them come back again on a couple other episodes in the future. So, Jose, how can people find you? Jose Gaytan, the name's going to show on the screen. Jose Gaytan, they can find you on
Facebook, social media, Instagram.
Facebook.
Just look for Jose Gaytan.
Jose Gaytan. George, how can they find you?
Yeah, through Facebook, Instagram. You can go to georgepelayo.com. That's my website. And
Jorge Pelayo. You can actually put Jorge Pelayo on YouTube as well. You got a few videos on YouTube. Subscribe to his channel. You're going to see a lot more from both of these guys here. But look, it's kind of the end of the video, and I don't know if you're in the mood or not. Are you guys kind of in the mood to raise? You want to keep this video just to?
No.
Is it okay if we put some? We brought value. I don't know if we have entertainment yet.
You got your gear on. Just Santa.
I mean, I'm a Santa guy, so I keep sporting Santa. Any Santa clothes you got, you send me. Keep sending it to me. I get a lot of good stuff that gets sent over, but I say we go race.
Let's go race.
Is that okay with you guys?
Absolutely.
Let's go race. All right, come with us. We're going to go race in a minute. So listen, who do you bet on? You bet on the Ferrari, Tesla, or the Z06? You make your vote, but let's see who wins. Let's see who wins.
There you go. Mine's
We'll see
on
you in a
too.
second.
take care.
When it comes down to most people who detail a car or wash a car, they normally use the bucket system, which is normally a bucket, two 5-gallon buckets. One has soap, one has water, and normally it has a sponge. We don't do that. We've actually created something where we eliminate trying to damage as least as possible the vehicle. So what we do is we never double use rags. Every single car that we wash has its own microfabric system. So that means normally when we service a vehicle, each car will get its own microfabrics. So normally each car in a service, you will be using about 45 rags. What we've done is we've created our own filtration system to be able to have DI water, which is deionized water. And the reason we've done that is because we want it to have no interruptions whenever we're detailing a customer's cars, whether we're in Beverly Hills, we're in the desert, wherever it might be. And this is something that almost nobody has in their detailing system. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to be different. We wanted to be able to be anywhere and be able to filter regular hard water into DI water, filtration water, to be able to have spot-free water. So what we've done is we've hooked up this reel where we can connect anywhere in anybody's home. The water runs through here, through this system, through our filtration system, cleans out the water. We have a 60-gallon tank here where it stores our water, and it pretty much everything is hooked up where we're ready to just go ahead and continue to detail cars without any hesitation or stopping. The type of vehicles that we've serviced, some of the most elite are anything from Bugattis, Paganis, Enzos, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, you name it. Majority of all the cars that are out in this industry we've done. Well, we've serviced vehicles everywhere. Obviously our home base is in Beverly Hills, but we've done vehicles in about 16 states. We've traveled cross country. We have negotiations right now to probably go to Dubai and being able to do something over there. So we've expanded to just anywhere where the client wants us to go. What makes us different from everybody else is that not only do we give great quality service, but we also bring classiness to us. And what I mean by that is the way we present ourselves, from our ties, our dress shirts, how we speak, the way our presentation of our vans, the chemicals we use. Nothing is generic. Everything we use is high definition quality. One of the reasons I think that entrepreneurs use us a lot and we're leading into this industry is because of the time saver that we use. And what I mean by that is that we save them that time of having to have to go to the car wash, having to bring it, having to have to spend an hour. That time they could use either spending it with their kids, their family, being on meetings, being on phone calls, or whatever it might be. So by the time they come out, their vehicles are ready. And our the way we service our clients, it's a 24-hour service. So anytime they call us, whether it's day, night, morning, anywhere in the U.S. that they're at, we can most likely take care of them. I think one of the reasons the United Detailers Coalition was created was because there is 98% of the detailers out there that what I've seen or I've met were struggling in their business. And I think one of the reasons was because they were fighting for a clientele and they weren't marketing their business right. They were concentrating more on trying to compete on prices more than giving the customer something unique, like the quality of work, the presentation, stuff like that has made us stand out from everybody else. So what I did with Artistic was I wanted to brand myself away from everybody else. I wanted to bring in classy service along with great skills to the customer's front door. The reason detailers are partnering up with the United Detailers Coalition is because even though they've been in business for 10, 15 years, they wanted the guidance and the mentorship from other detailers, not only myself, but also other detailers that are leading in this industry that have never met each other. And what I mean by that is, we're sharing each other's tips and secrets to be able to help each other, because there's about 75,000 detailers out in the United States, more estimated, that are in need of help to be able to grow their business. And I think we can all agree. I think last year statistics showed that there were 1.3 million new cars sold in the U.S. So there's enough cars for everybody. If anybody wants more information about the UDC movement, you could go to udcmovement.com, or if they're interested in our services, you could go to artisticautodetailing.com.